So, welcome, Shantanu. And before talking about the global online MBA impact, I would really like to know about you.
Hey Pooja, well, great to be here. I'm Shantanu Gupta. I'm working as AVP in Upgrad, been part of the organization for almost 8 years. As a chartered accountant, I have covered a lot of niche work areas across Upgrad and with KPMG earlier. So I started as a finance person, but over a period of time, I have led the data analytics and business analytics team, and I've also led the MBA vertical for Upgrad. So
Oh, I
the
read that you
Upgrad
have
as
almost
ecosystem.
11 years of experience in finance field.
Yes,
Great.
yes. It was an amazing experience till now, and I've been able to work with Upgrad in a sense that we have been able to touch millions of lives across not just in India but also globally, and provide a specific impact on not their life but their family members and their generations.
Okay. So, you have worked with some of the most respected companies in the tech world. Looking back, what shaped your approach to leadership and learning?
So I think from a leadership standpoint, you always learn if you have great leaders to aspire to become like, right? So for example, Mr. Ronnie Screwval or Mr. Mike, and there are multiple other CXO that I've worked with. What drove me till now and keeps driving me every single day is if the work that you're, and not just in the external market, but it's also positively impacting each and every employee in the company. That's a place that you get inspired to push yourself every single day and be happy about it. Every single day, if you have, it needs to be a smiling factor, not a factor where you're just stressed out. So what I think about leadership is how you can work with individuals across the board, be it your team members, be it cross-functional, be it external stakeholders, where you are able to impact positively what they do and make them successful and make their community successful at the same time.
So, at what point in your journey did formal learning like courses or executive education make a meaningful difference?
In Upgrad, we have a concept of lifelong learning. What we tell to the ecosystem is that if you are a 21-year-old person who has just completed their undergraduation, or you're a 55-year-old CXO, there's always something new to learn. The world is ever evolving, even though we are saying this thing since the last 50 years or 100 years, but the pace it's evolving is increasing every single day. Things that would have been impossible 5 years back is part of life today. Yes. So there's no age wherein you'll say that this is the right age of getting into formal education, and hence you have to make education part of your DNA rather than a thing that you are forced to do just to get a job. At an aggregate level, what we always say is what you invest in education will reap you results in the long term, right? One of the things that I've heard which is very impactful and very proper for this kind of thing is education used to be insurance, that you invest in education and you'll ensure that you get a job, and then you are able to get something out of it and you're safeguarded from any eventualities. Now people want to see education as mutual fund. You invest in that and you get disproportionate results. You want to grow from a system where if you are doing a domestic trip today, you want to go to international trips tomorrow. If you're driving a scooter today, you want to drive in a BMW tomorrow. So hence that's the impact education can bring in. And like mutual fund only work if you invest them every month. So if you are okay to invest in mutual funds every month, you have to invest in education also every month. And that's the way you grow, you learn, and you become much sharper, much brighter day after day.
So, I've been seeing a lot of videos around MBA is dead. There is no value of MBA. So, is it actually like MBA is dead, or it is just evolving into something else?
So overall, if you see be it any program, be it MBA or be it anything else, all that matters is the quality and the learning that you were able to take it. The problem with Indian ecosystem right now is, for example, almost 1 million learners give their MBA entrance exams every year, right? Mm-hmm. The top 20 colleges which are actually imparting amazing quality education which can make you employable is opening your mind into how to solve things at a much faster and much better manner. There's just 25 odd institutes which have 10,000 odd seats. So it's just a percentage of people who actually want to learn and make their career better are able to get that high quality education. For the rest 99%, it's a long tail of education institutes which are giving you a degree, but they are not able to give you curriculum which makes you job ready, right? And if you're not job ready, the impact is clearly visible when you are in a job and the employer is not happy. Because of issues like this, a lot of people say that MBA is dead, or you don't need to do an MBA. But at the end of the day, quality of education and the outcomes that it can result is all that matters. And that's where upgrad also comes in, right? So when we entered into this overall education ecosystem, we always thought what are the problem statements for our learners, the ecosystem at large. In India, we want to be a 50% graduation thing in the next few years. But for that, you need flexibility, you need access, and you need relevance. And not just domestic relevance, you also need global relevance. India is the skill capital for the world. So if you want to be skill capital of the world, you have to have that global relevance. So these are the
we'll have to achieve 50% GER ratio.
exactly.
So we'll have to work upon that.
And the offline, considering the population we have, and by population I don't want to sound it derogatory, it's an asset. Our youth is the asset, and again I'm telling you, the asset is not just for India, it's for global community at large. So we have to make it accessible for millions of learners at a annual level, and that offline ecosystem can't create that standardization and bring the global relevance in the current shape and way of form.
So, Shantanu, this is my personal experience that 5 years ago there was too much of regular MBA or traditional MBA that people don't even believe that online MBA is something relevant or the degree is even like there was this one question always comes from the student that the degree is not acceptable in MNCs, and now we see this new kind of MBA that is Global Online MBA. So how it is in just 5 years I have been seeing these three different types of MBAs. So which one is better and how do you compare these things, all three of them?
So great question. So I won't say something is better or something is bad. It's all about what kind of ROI and outcome you are able to drive out of it, and what is the base of what you have finally selected. So you're truly right. Like before, I'll say the COVID era, the offline education was the benchmark, and everyone used to think that this is the only way. But when COVID came into the picture, even the offline education institutes were forced to go online. And in 2022, people had the highest salaries that they were able to command, even though they learned completely online, even though that online was from offline institutes. So that paved the way in terms of human society as a whole, understanding that we can learn effectively online. The only thing that educators like Upgrad and other educators need to understand how to make it impactful online, ensure that the learner is engaged, and then figure out a pathway for them to be impactful after the program is completed. So in this, I won't say 5 years. I think there is a lot of hard work and effort that went before that COVID era also. So like Upgrad started in 2015. So a lot of work that we did between 2015 to 2020 paved the way. We were able to revolutionize education system as a whole, and then deliver quality at scale with the comfort of your home, and ensuring that you get the same quality on your handset that you would have received in offline education. So what we were able to do is reverse engineer what makes a learner successful in an offline environment and replicate those things in an online fashion.
So in today when you meet your professionals, what do you think they are missing?
So I'll say context of what is exactly happening in the market. People are great in doing what they're doing at a day on day level, but they're so used to just having that blinders on. They're not able to understand what's going in the market. And being a good employee versus a great employee, being a good leader to a great employer, is getting that market intelligence in what you're doing and continuously innovate basis that. So once you have that context and then you push yourself in your team to innovate, you become much more impactful. And that is something that I see in a lot of amazing human beings and amazing people. They still lack. What happens is that they reach a ceiling and then they are not able to overcome that. And I've also seen a lot of these people, even though they are amazing in what they do, they also get jittery. Am I doing the right thing? Am I going in the right direction? What am I lacking? And they have reached a stage where they can't even discuss with. They are supposed to be the mentors, but the mentors need their mentors too. So I think once they get the context of the market, and then they are able to use the company's context along with the market and innovate, then they'll be truly amazing and they'll be able to skyrocket their career fast.
So there is Global Online MBA, and the other one is DBA,
Mhm.
Doctorate in Business Education Administration. Sorry.
Mhm.
So at what point of time should I do a DBA or Global Online MBA, or what is the difference? Which can advance my career?
Okay, so I think it is just the phase of life you are in. Once you've done your undergraduate program, that's maybe immediately after that, or in the first 2 to 3 years, is something after you get your 2 to 3 years of experience at well, you should go for an MBA. So that 0 to 3 years is I think the good bucket, and it's not that you can't do it beyond that, but I think it's a good starting place for you to do your MBA, because at that point of time you're more susceptible to understand and learn new things. You're early in your career, you need to have a holistic point of view. You do your on the job training, but the structured MBA also gets you the global perspective and helps you learn from other people's mistakes. So that's a place where global MBA can help you out in your early to mid career. Once you have reached that 10 to 15 years of experience and you have become specialist in one of the branches that you have worked, I think that's the time where you can go into doctorate of business administration or DBA, like you said, because then you are becoming the master of the thing that you're doing, right? So if you're doing a DBA in, let's suppose, marketing, you would have done marketing, be it traditional marketing, be it digital marketing, for 10, 15 years, and you know the nitty-gritties of it. But then you have to go a step beyond. And doctorate is a doctorate because you are being so ultra specific and specialized in that particular thing. You are the benchmark at a global level. And that's the place where you should now think about doing a DBA.
So, if you can tell us the 5 advantages of Global Online MBA.
So first is the accreditation. So as you go to a global MBA, not only you are getting degree of that particular institute, but you're getting other global accreditation, like all of a majority of our global MBAs are WS recognized. So that's an added advantage under your belt. So you know that the quality and the impact of education is super critical and super high. Secondly is about
That means the degree is going to be globally valid, right?
Exactly. So we don't have people based out of India who are able to get benefits out of it. We have learners across 100 plus countries who are getting impacted by our global MBAs and other programs. So it is impactful at a global stage. Second is the accessibility that I'm not saying it's easy. I don't think online is easy at all if you're going to a dedicated program, but it provides you access from anywhere you are. And then it helps you becoming better at a day-on-day level. You don't have to leave your job, right? So that access is critical. You be it on your laptop, be it on your mobile, you are able to access the education. The next one is flexibility, right? And when I say flexibility, it's not just about time, but you are able to become flexible with the kind of other work you're doing. In a traditional offline MBA, you have to leave your job, and that's not something that anyone can. Think about a person who's based out of a small village of India. People over there are starting to do their job at very early age, 19, 20, 21. They have to support themselves, they have to support their family, and then and it's not possible for them to leave their job for 2 years and do their education because the opportunity cost for them is super high. So it becomes the flexibility is from a time perspective also, as well as from an opportunity cost perspective. The next advantage that I'll say is that you are able to create an ecosystem which is not very focused to those 200-300 people in your college, but you are creating an ecosystem which is global in nature. So when we have our global MBA programs, you're interacting with people from different cities, different states, different countries. You're able to create those connects in a much wider ecosystem, and the impact is the same. For example, in our global MBAs, we have weekend live sessions. So as all of us are working professional, doing work after doing all these trainings after office sometimes become difficult. So we have categorically created it that on weekend you are able to come to that live session and get education as well as create that camaraderie with your peers. We have case studies and capstone project where you have to work with other people from different eras of life and create that and complete that case study. We have offline immersion process wherein, for example, in one of our MBA, which is a Liverpool MBA with Liverpool Business School, over there you get an opportunity to go to the offline campus in Liverpool and meet your professors, meet your peers in an offline fashion. And then there we have alumni network, offline meet and greet, So all these things put together create an ecosystem for you, which is global in nature, and you're actually getting to know people from different eras of life, and it's not limited to just those 300, 400 people. And like all of us know, big portion of MBA is just having that connect, because you know that I'm here, I'll be a CXO tomorrow, but these are 99 other people who will be CXO of 99 other companies. So I have that kind of peer network across the world, which will help me out every time I have something to do in life. So I think these are the critical things which helps a global MBA person to go above and beyond that they can traditionally do, or create opportunities for people which was not there yesterday.
Yeah, people dream about studying from an international university or go to abroad, but
Yes.
sometimes they have financial barriers, or maybe there can be anything. But now they can easily pursue the program at the comfort of their home.
Exactly.
But still, we don't get to travel abroad.
But that's not the case actually. Like I said, with the global MBA with Liverpool Business School, you actually get a 1 week immersion. Obviously,
Okay.
that's a top up on the base program, and we are not forcing anyone to mandatorily go and incur that additional cost. So it's a choice by the learners, but that's a choice that thousands of our learners have already taken in the last 4 to 5 years. Actually, we were getting enrollments even during COVID that we want to go to the college and we have to let the things normalize and we'll definitely send you there. So thousands of
Yeah.
learners have actually gone to US, Europe, to the colleges, and that is a great networking and education thing.
Great, great. So if I want to go, then I can go for a week.
Definitely.
So, many people are confused. Should I switch job, startup, or study further? So, what's a smarter way to decide what to do when?
So I think I'll first segregate between being an employee versus being an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur is something that you get from inside. Either you have that thought process or not. And it's not that you can't develop it at all, but you need that certain zeal and rigor to be an entrepreneur. Because once you're employee, you get very used to that month end thing that your salary has been created, right? So entrepreneur, it has a great risk but great reward. So first you need to be very sure that do I as an entrepreneur have an idea which will solve a real life problem for a big enough market so that I can monetize it, and then do I have the skill set to actually do it or not. So I think that's the base of it: idea, target market, skill set. So if you're confident in these things, then definitely you can be an entrepreneur. How to get funding, how to create a team, that will come on its own. But if you're not confident in the first few things, it won't go beyond that. Coming to the being doing a job or being an employee, over there obviously you learn on the job, you have mentors to train you, you have your bosses and the entire hierarchy to train you. So you can definitely start from there, get certain number of years experience under belt, understand how big organization works. It's not just about the product that you're selling, but 50,000 different things which happens behind the scene, right? You have to manage your ops, you have to manage the supply chain, you have to manage human resource, you have to manage your finances. These are the things that you understand and learn as you do your job. And once you have learned enough experience and then you're confident about yourself, then you can have the transition from being an employee to becoming an employer. And we definitely need a lot of employers in this country for sure, right? How education helps you travel the journey. So let's assume that you start your career by being an employee, right? So obviously a company who's hiring, obviously everyone have their own budgets that you can only hire X number of people, and there are certain targets both from a top line and bottom line perspective. So a company obviously want to hire the best talent in the least amount of money, because that's sensible for them as an organization. So when you go there, they're not only judging you how much money you're commanding, but what's the ROI that you're generating for the company. And anything in the world just works on ROI. If you're investing in something, you want an ROI. The employer is investing in you, they want an ROI. So at that point in time itself, if you have done your MBA, if you've done structured education, that gives you a kickstart into the career where the employer is confident that one, obviously you have spent a lot of time effort in completing a program, completing all your case studies, project, etc., so that you have a structure to the work that you will be able to do. It's not just about grinding for those 10-15 hours every day in a education environment. It also provides you structure on how you run your life. So that's a base level comfort that an employer gives. Suppose that they also understand what kind of skills you have already have before they are joining, so that you can be productive as fast as possible. So that's the base. And when you join, then you get an understanding of all the various things that we talked about, and then you also develop your leadership skills. Once you have those leadership, then you can be a great entrepreneur, because ultimately you are the person who people are looking forward to and looking up to guide them, mentor them, and push them to achieve better things in their life. So then that's a different ecosystem altogether, and you need to have an education in terms of leadership methodologies and the kind of things that you can bring to the team. So I think every part of the your career journey, be it, and you can be employed for whole of your life, you can be entrepreneur for the whole life, but in both the cases you keep on learning new things with the help of education and becoming a better leader, better resource to the company that you work.
So, Shantanu, there is a lot of debate going on the ROI of traditional MBA. That students, a lot of people say that you spend more and you get more. So, is it something? Is it actually true? I really want you to just do the verses of Global Online MBA ROI and traditional MBA ROI.
So I think explaining ROI is something that I should excel as, considering I started my journey as a finance professional, right? So
Great.
just imagine you have two MBAs, right? Global MBA with upgrade you can do in like 4 to 5 lakh. If you go in a traditional MBA, I'll say you'll spend somewhere close to 10 to 15 odd lakh rupees for the 2 years, right? When you're doing your global MBA with upgrad, not only, even though you have an initial outlay cost of that 4 to 5 lakh rupees, but you're also earning in those 2 years. So essentially, let's assume that you have a 5 lakh rupees job. Year one, you have 5 lakh rupees job. I'm hoping that you get a 10% hike. Year two, you have a 5.5 lakh rupees job. So you have earned 10.5 lakh rupees in those 2 years while spending less than 5 lakh rupees. So you're already in the money by 5.5 lakh rupees even before your program is over. Versus an offline MBA program, you have spent 15 lakh rupees when you're starting from zero when you join a new company. Secondly, our learners are also getting increments like 40 to 50%. So your base is automatically increased. So if you would have not done that program, then you would have gone from 5.5 to 6 to 6.5. So it would be a slow progress. The moment you have done the program at an average level, your 5.5, 6 lakh job normally becomes like 8 odd lakh. So that's a big jump, and then every year the 10-15% increments become very substantial. So essentially what you would have achieved in 3-4 years, you've just completed the day you've completed your program. Come to the offline MBA, let's assume you get the same amount of stuff versus what we are getting, right? But then you also have to see you're starting from minus 15, wherein the global MBA learner is starting from positive 5.5, and that's where the ROI fact actually comes into play. And then essentially that 20 lakh rupees gap minus 15 to plus 5 is something that will take years for a normal person to cover. And that is after the fact that you get admission in a good college where they are able to get your job. Like we discussed earlier, there are a lot of places where they are getting a degree, but you're still not employable. So at that point in time, you are figuring out for a job which might take 6 months, which might make 12. But considering in global MBA, you've not left your job, there's some sense of security that at least you have your base job, if not something. So I think from an ROI perspective, until unless you're going in the top 5, top 10, obviously that's a very different ball game altogether, and with a very different level of intellect, investment, both from you, your parents, your whole ecosystem. I won't touch on that, but for public at large, the ROI becomes much more favorable once you do your online global MBA.
Okay, so we'll be doing a lot of verses today in this session. And
Definitely.
now it is something just came into my mind that how about the MBA from IIMs and the MBA from MBA from some top international university?
See, ultimately, I'll say when you come to an IIM versus maybe any top online institute or online MBA, what you should think at that point in time, why am I doing this, right? And what's the long-term benefit that I'm looking forward? And what's my current need of the hour? If you are going for an IIM, and let's use the best of the college IIM Ahmedabad, you get a selection over there, you are already in that top 0.1 percentile at a country level of a country which is like 1.5 billion people, right? So you are the brightest of the country, which, like I said, is the skill capital of the world. So there's no breaker for you. So at that point in time, obviously the person is looking that they can afford to have that 2-year break, have that higher amount of investment that you need to spend in a that caliber college, and then see that how things take forward. But I think it would be unwise for us to discuss top 500 people in a country where 10 lakh people are applying for an MBA every day. So again, like I said initially, we are all about accesses and flexibility, and Global Online MBA provides our shining in those particular segment, because we are not here for the 500, we are here for the 15 lakhs. And again,
So,
I am not saying something is bad and something is good, I'm saying both are amazing. It's just
yeah.
the stage of life you are in that you need to have a, again, an ROI analysis, both in terms of cost and as well as the time you are committing.
If you are among those 0.1%, then definitely go for IIM. Otherwise, this is a very, very, very good option for you, right?
It's an amazing option for you to have.
Okay. So there's a lot of debate around MBAs. In
Mhm.
your view, what's the core value of doing global MBA in 2025?
I'll say the core value is having that global context. If you are based out of India, you get a lot of understanding of what's happening in your city, your state, at max at your country. And that is also a lot of filtration on what is there on social media, what is there on media, and then your worldview and whatever your friends are saying, right? So your worldview is quite narrowed in that particular thing. And that is also if you are proactive enough to be on all these three things. Bulk of the information that the current generation is getting is essentially from social media and their friends, which they are also getting from social media too. So in a era of memes, the fact, the reality is something that we sometimes miss out. And that's a place where the global MBA, with the global as well as domestic faculty, with pedagogy which encompass not just historical learning which has stood test of time for hundreds of years, but what has happened yesterday, right? So that makes a very structured learning process where you're able to understand every single thing, and like I said, learn from mistake and the good things that other people have done. So your learning becomes very fast, and because of that, you are able to get point of view from people who have done this time over and over again and implement those things from day zero. So when you do a global MBA, you are not waiting for your 1 year, 1.5 year, or 2 years to get over to implement the learnings. The way the curriculum is designed is that you learn something new every few weeks. So once you've done with a module of that 2 or 3 weeks, you are equipped enough to use those learning and implement on your day job. So hence, when you go to a global MBA, that global context and learning which encompass eras is there on your fingertips in a very structured and pointed manner, which you can dissect and consume easily and create an ecosystem around you of your peers, of the amazing student buddies and mentors that the upgrad is providing, and the university professors, which are university partners as well. So I think having this, all this thing nicely packaged into a bite size or a consumable thing in which you have deadlines, but you have a very focusing for those 2 weeks. So that definitely helps in the way you learn and the way you are able to then implement on the job.
Okay. So, is it something that is only valid for someone who wants to study abroad or wants to work abroad, or is it
Mhm.
even valuable in India?
So yeah, so
Talking
I'll
about the
say
Global
definitely.
Online MBA. Yeah.
I think it's definitely valid in India too. I'll say let's take extremes, like either you are working in a startup or a very small Indian-led company, which is where they have the traditional way of working, or you're working in an MNC. I think connecting with MNC is very easier because that company has a global footprint. So having that global context and global learning, having that global credential is a very easy fit for that MBA MNC crowd. But think about if you are a 100 or 200 team member org of an Indian startup or Indian company, you can still outshine, right? So the rest 199 people in your org knows what has happened in India. You, on the other hand, knows what has happened in India and US and UK and Australia, getting a global thing. And we have seen time and time again that if something has happened in the Western countries, in the next 5 to 10 years later on, India and other Asian countries adopt the same thing. So at that level, you are essentially 5 to 10 years ahead of the curve in the kind of thinking you have, the kind of skill set that you are generating. And hence, for any learner, be it you're part of an MNC or be you are part of an Indian company, having a global MBA definitely opens multiple doors for you at on your job.
So, Shantanu, if let's suppose you are a Gen Z person now and you are just starting your career, like now you have to do graduation or post graduation. So, how will you plan it as per 2025 and 2030 and above?
Sure. I think one critical thing for the Gen Z is if they do anything, they should be highly interested in that. I think for millennials, it was that we are, for I'll say, if boomers were there, they were doing the job for Roti Kapda Makan and they created a base for the millennials. The millennials were doing the job because they wanted certain luxuries in their life. Our parents were good enough to have a scooter throughout their life. We definitely want an SUV, right?
And there
So,
was a lot of lack of this guidance
exactly.
for the millennials.
Yes. So essentially, because our parents' generation was just figuring out the basic necessities of life,
Yeah.
we were having an amazing time if we were able to have that one Europe tour,
Yeah.
having first car, right? It was the epitome of happiness for us. So whatever we understood from them, we said that we have now the basics of life. We have that roti kapda makan. Now let's have some good quality lifestyle. We can afford little finer things in our life. We can go to a 5-star hotel to have that lunch or dinner as and when possible. So millennials invested in that. Now at a Gen Z level, what they are seeing is, am I happy doing what I'm doing? Is this productive for me as a human being? Is that sustainable way of living, not for me, for my community, for world at large? So I think they have evolved in a manner that they're not just restricted by the basics of life or basic luxuries of life. They are thinking in a much more dynamic fashion. And I think that's a definite change which happens with every generation, and rightfully so. So as a Gen Z, first I want should be aligned on what I want to do in life. So coming to the original question, so as I complete my 12th, obviously I'll suggest that they should do their undergraduate program right away. And either you are a engineer or you are a finance person, BCom, MCom, whatever you're doing, you just have your undergraduation under that. Maybe
Or
when you're
is it okay to pursue the your graduation with online mode?
yeah
What do you say?
so I think if you know what you want to do, and I think that's the place where the counseling definitely helps, like you said, that we didn't have enough thing. And that is also a great thing about upgrad, where we have an admission counseling team who tells you what you want to do. They're understanding what skill set you have right now, what is your aspiration in life, and what's the skill gap, and then they suggest a program, right? So that
Yeah,
kind of
even I
counseling
had this
definitely helps.
counseling session with Upgrade just for fun,
And I
and it
hope
was
you
good.
had a nice time about it.
Yeah, it was good.
So once so you have selected the line that you're working with, you have done your undergraduate program. I'll say at least take a dip in the job ecosystem. Test the waters in what you did your undergraduate. Was that in line with what you actually want to do? Because nobody can be 100% sure whether they're 17 or 18 years of age, right? You might make some good decisions, you might make some not so good decisions. But yeah, so complete your undergraduation, start your job. At least it will give you a sense of how the world works. Because till the time you are just doing your schooling or your undergraduate, you're still shielded to a certain level to the realities of life. Once you go in a job environment, you know how the world works. And that one time you'll be able to better appreciate what you are doing and what you want to do. So once you have that maybe 6 months or a year or maximum 2 years, then you understand that this is something that you're really passionate about, and passion being the key word. Because if you're passionate, you'll be an amazing at your job. If you're not passionate, you're just any other employee, right? So once you've figured out your passion, invest heavily on that. That's the time where you get your certification program or postgraduate program like Global MBAs, and that's the time where you double down on everything. Because today is an era of specialization. Nobody wants a joker of all trade, they want the master of one. Because having a depth in your thought process and what work you do is far more critical just to have a breadth. I might know 10 things, but if I'm not expert in anyone, I'm a journalistic person, I will only reach to a certain level. Because if the moment I'm a specialist, the employer knows, or if an entrepreneur, the investor knows that I as a human being, I as a person can take the thing from end to end. Then, so in summary, you do your undergraduate program, get a sense of life, understand what your priorities like, where your passion like, double down on it, do your master's program, and take it forward from. And then when you are like 35, 40 years of age, and that's the time when you can think about doing a DBA. And I'm not saying that between once you have done, let's suppose your MBA by 25, that 25 to 35 is not a place where you just not do anything. Right now, I think in the last 12 months I'm on my third program, so I'm continuously learning, and that is something that else is, even though I'm part of education institute and an education company, having education mindset was a bit easier for me than for a person who's not in this ecosystem. But if you're not doing anything every single year, I think you are doing injustice to yourself. As a human being, you can become so much better if you have that structural learning every single time. And that structured learning just not give you a theoretical aspect, but also gives you practical scenarios and practical blunt force for you to overcome the issues that you're facing.
Okay, so if I ask you the five best specializations one should do in 2025 or 30 or till 40, so what will those five specialization will be in global online MBA?
So I'll say first and foremost, I'll say business analytics is the place you should definitely look at. Maybe like I think what 15, 20 years earlier, the era of data is the new oil, data is the new
Nobody
gold
knows
standard.
about business analytics or something, or maybe
Yes.
I don't know
So
about it.
15, 20 years back, 15 years back, it was just having data was the key.
Yeah.
Now, in today's day and age, you have data, but you don't know what to drive out of that data. It's useless. Garbage in, garbage out. Business analytics is the place where you can start, where you understand the data, understand what's happening on ground at a day-on-day level in your business, and analyze the data to provide objective decisions to the company. So, as an business analytics person, you're not only helping the company move forward in a data-driven decision-making ecosystem, but you're also impacting the way you think about growth. You think about your bottom line. So, a business analytics person, I think, encompass the entire ecosystem altogether, and having that thought process of taking decisions via data becomes much more easier and much more impact. So I think business analytics is something that you should definitely look at. And then I'll say the four verticals we always have, and that's no brainer: marketing, HR management, finance,
Again, marketing.
and supply chain and ops. So I think these are the four lists where you definitely have and will have a lot of jobs and a lot of requirement. You always need a finance person to manage your company's finances. You always need a marketer to take yourself to the public with your products. You'll always need a HR person to ensure that your company is a place where people love to come to, and having those ethics, having a great place to work in. And the world is revolving around how efficiently, cost effectively, and timely you can take your product into the hands of your customers, right? So supply chain and ops is again a specialization that is critical. Finally, I'm saying
It's business analytics, finance, HR, marketing,
marketing,
and supply chain.
and I'll just add the last one. It's that if you have like 15, 20 years of experience under the belt, leadership is the next thing that you should definitely look at, because how you behave, how you take decisions, and how you inspire people definitely goes a long way in terms of creating that ecosystem of people who look up to you, and then you are able to take the entire company forward. So instead of I'll say 6.
You can even say 10 if needed. So, what are you doing in these 12 months? The three courses, what are those?
So I did a leadership program with Wharton.
Okay.
Of
So, you
course, it
have
was
15, 20 years of experience. Now you're going into leadership.
yes. So that's the first program I did. Again, amazing program wherein I was able to understand what clicks from a human aspect. Right now, at the end of the day, in a business environment, you are, at the end of the day, everything becomes a cell in an Excel. Right. No matter what department you are in, the job ends at an Excel sheet.
Yes.
So having that leadership acumen definitely helped me open up a lot of things that I'm able to do much more effectively, and being a better leader for not just for my team but company as a whole. The second one I did was a program we have, Upgrade and Microsoft program, on how to be more effective in terms of using AI. So right now, if you don't know AI, then you are not efficient enough, right? Yes. And third thing is more of a accounting side of things. I'm brushing up on my skills related to accounting and all, so that I don't go off my accounting. So
your finance roots are getting brushing up.
So if you see, like, it's not a program that I'm just doing the same thing just in an additional way. Today's day and age, you have to need to have a over-encompassing thing, which even though you're specialist, but you need to have certain amount of knowledge across the board. Because while being specialist, you still can take things from other places and make it even more effective and efficient, right? And again, I think that's the place where a global MBA also helps, because MBA as a education, as a degree, helps you get a reference point from all different angles. It's a 360-degree educational program, and definitely helps you see things which you were not looking from a different viewpoint, and getting a better answer to the problem sheet.
So, you have led teams across geographies. What does having a global mindset look like in real world decisions?
So I think when you are managing team across geographies, and geography can be literally two floors in a single building, because you sit on floor one and your team is sitting on the floor two, and then you're seeing them for like half an hour a day rather than the person sitting next to you. Or it can be a different continent altogether, right? So having that geographical chain definitely impacts the way you're thinking, the people you're talking to, the ecosystem you're living in, how exactly you are conducting yourself at a day on day level. So once you are a global citizen, you can relate to anyone and everyone, no matter their background. Are they coming from a well-off family? They were underprivileged and they've done a lot of hard work to reach the point they are? Are they a Western person versus the Asian person? So all these nuances of having different minds and different cultures, with having that global context, you are able to relate. And I think as human beings, as a society, the moment you are able to relate, you can do wonders with that particular person if the person is aligned with you. And I think we as a society want other human beings to whom we can relate with, right? And then that's a extended family, what we call friends, that we create, right? So having that global mindset definitely helps us empathizing with the other person, getting that connect, and then helping them and yourself mold the way you want to move forward. And once that you have covered this distance, sky's the limit. There's no stopping you after that. And hence, having that global mindset is so much more critical today than it ever was.
Okay, so Shantanu, do you think by 2030, the big four companies or unicorn companies are only going to recruit people who have online degrees?
So I won't say I won't say online is good. I don't ever think that online is the only way or offline is the only way. I think we are in an ecosystem where there's a place for anyone and everyone. It's just how, again, effective and ROI driven, and what kind of outcomes you are able to get, right? So I think we have covered a lot of things where, again, like I said, when we started in 2015, overall ecosystem always saw that online is not the place. Online does not impart proper education. At that point in time, MOOC platforms are the one where just it was a recorded videos and that's about it. So in the last 10 years, we have covered that journey in which we are able to proudly say that online is here, online is effective, online is ROI driven, and whatever you're learning right now, it will have outcomes. So the 10 years is definitely the place. That has also impacted how the employers look at people who have done online programs. Again, like 5 to 10 years back, like you rightly mentioned, people were thinking like, why are we doing this? Is it effective or not? Is this the right thing or not? After the COVID era, in spite of the fact that a horrifying phase of life for all of us, but it definitely opened up. And again, we are a country of jugaad, right?
Yeah.
So we thought this is not the way we can expand just with the offline thing. Online is the way to. So we were able to use that worst of the era to get the best outcomes out of it as much as possible. And the employees also understand that irrespective of where you're coming from or how you got trained, if when you're opening your mouth in an interview and when you're opening your mouth during the job, if you're able to make sense, if you are able to make impact, they're least bothered about it. Because all, again, like I said, the employer wants ROI from, and that's what we are able to do. So I don't think it will be 100% online, but I think at every single passing year, the percentage of people who have done offline versus online, it will start trending towards more online. Because again, the kind of accessibility and scale that you can get in online, obviously it's not possible for an offline environment to provide the same impact and scale.
So why are Ivy League schools are now offering online MBAs?
So I think at global level,
It's
education
because of
institutes,
the hype or it's something
I don't think it's a hype. I'll say it's more about necessity, right? Even Ivy League college in offline fashion have limitations in terms of how many people that they want to. intake. For every single person getting into Ivy League, there are hundreds and thousands of people who are not. And it's not that they don't deserve to be there. It's just someone had that better day, better interview. They were slightly more intelligent, and that point, like we discussed for IIM earlier, right? You are in that 0.1 percentile. So even if you are in that 0.2 percentile, it's not that you are not great. It's just you are missed by half a mark here or there. So as part of that, the Ivy League colleges also have understood that they have to impact communities at large, and then they can't be just restrictive to the country they are residing in. They are amazing human beings across the planet, and if they're not going online, they're missing out on a large base of people that can be positively impacted with their learnings. And at the same time, for colleges, it also makes them a much better educator, because now they are also getting to understand from people across the world at scale. They still have people across the world, but they have like 1,000 odd people from the globe. Now they can impact 100,000 people across the globe. So they are also able to innovate in a much better fashion. And obviously, across the globe, there is a definite need from the learner's perspective also to have the access to these teaching across the world. So it becomes a win-win situation both for the institute as well as the learner.
Okay. What kind of skills do you actively look for when hiring some senior roles in the industry? Like if I do MBA, I do it for some higher post. So what skills do you want कि मेरे अंदर तो होने ही चाहिए?
So first and foremost is how you conduct yourself as a leader, because that's the place everyone starts. Ultimately, as a leader, you don't have to do work on your own. You have to get the work done.
Yeah.
So having that leadership acumen and the ability to rally people behind you, that is very critical when I'm hiring any senior leader for the organization. Second is domain knowledge. If you are hiring, let's like you've said that you have done marketing, right? So if I'm hiring a marketing head, marketing or your marketer, in terms of using technology versus the age old thing. So you need to have domain knowledge specific to your vertical. And the last thing, and I think this is something that is said at the start, is market understand. You can't be great at your job if you don't know what's happening in the market. For example, there was a very big shift because of social media that traditionally just newspapers and hoardings were the way you were able to market, right? Then the era around 2015 onwards, the era of digital marketing came, wherein you were able to use social media to reach very people at scale, but also have that niche identified basis all the filters that Metas of the world and Google of the world provide you. So that was a shift. Then now a shift has come after ChatGPT and many others AI tools, right? So the way digital marketing used to work has almost become redundant because AI is able to do that job. So having that market connect, not only in terms of what's new and how you do your job, but also what the market is demanding. So if I talk about, let's say, soap or hair wash, right? If the market is demanding anti-dandruff hair shampoo, and you are continuously only selling shampoo which has conditioner in it, your market will die out. So having that connect with the market is very critical. So in summary, leadership skills, domain knowledge, and marketing understanding. I think these are the three very critical things that you should have if you have to reach that high level.
I'll do all these courses. Can you talk about the 100% placement? I think this is kind of a scam. Please talk about it.
So I don't think anything is guaranteed in life, and 100% placement is just like that thing. Nobody can guarantee you anything. And as an education institute, as an education company, we can enable you to unlock the doors that were not there. Ultimately, it's a lot of hard work and a bit of luck that obviously has an impact. But how we structure things in Upgrad is being a buddy to the person on their learning journey. So again, we are very clear at the start of the program, during the program, end of the program, that there is no guarantee of getting 100% job, right? So, but what we tell our learners is that we are here for you, and that's not just from words, but by action. So, just to take a step back, when we create a curriculum, normally what happens is that in a normal education institute, you get the viewpoint from a professor, which and their PhD profession, and they have learned a lot of things over time. But to a certain level, they are theoretical. You go to industry, you get your bosses and HODs. They have practical experience, but they might not be able to teach you in a structured manner. So when Upgrad created, we have an in-house learning experience and content team, which becomes the backbone of the entire curriculum. This team works with not only the university professors but industry experts to create the best of both worlds. So we are getting the best of theory and best of practical and blending it together. So when we create a curriculum, we know this is what's best for our learners. On top of that, we provide them with weekly online sessions to ensure that they're up to date on the new concepts as well as they're able to clarify their doubts. We provide them upgrad buddies who handhold them during the course of their program and ensure that they are able to complete the program. In online, a lot of people don't complete online, right? It's just fancy just for the sake of it, and then you don't complete the program. But we are boasting a completion of rate of 80 to 85% for our learners at scale for tens of thousands of learners for almost a decade now, right? So we ensure that people are learning and they are effective on their learning. Then we have at the back end of the program, we also have a lot of career related aspects. In the last 3 months of the program, you get access to the job portal. There's a dedicated person who helps you guide through various jobs. We teach the learner in soft skill aspects because a lot of time people are not able to crack the job interview because they're not able to express themselves. So having that soft skill element is also critical.
That's a major issue.
Yes. So that's what we realize, that no matter how intelligent or how focused you are in that particular thing, but if you're not able to express yourself, the other person is not a people, right? So you need to express yourself. So having that mix of hard skills versus soft skill is critical, and that's what we impart. So all these things put together helps a learner to find the outcome they want. And it's not just that once they complete the program, we are out of the picture. We provide them access to the curriculum, and not just the old curriculum, but we keep on updating our curriculum for the next 3 years. So they have the access to that. They have access to our proprietary job platform. We keep on providing them new and new jobs. So that's the way where we help our learner get their desired outcome. But again, like I mentioned, there's no 100% guarantee, and whoever say 100% guarantee, don't work with them.
Okay. So, what is the reality behind a 25 lakh traditional MBA? You have to pay a fees of more than 20 lakhs if you're going to a good MBA school. And on the other hand, from the same school, you're paying just by 1% or 10%, like 2.5 lakh, and you get the MBA with the same faculty, same curriculum, and same facilities. So, what is the reality behind why there's a big difference?
So in short, I'll say it's just economies of scale, right? In like we discuss in offline institute, you need to have a building that costs money. You need to have land on which you can set the money that costs even. Then you need to have in-house faculties, which for every hour they're spending, they can't do anything else, right? So that also costs money. Then you need to have people are there are hostels, and there are multiple other things which you are required to have invested in an offline education institute. So all these things cost money to the education institute, hence it's also very costly for the learner. Coming to online, the game changes is the skill. So every online education program will have a asynchronous and the synchronous content. Asynchronous is the recorded one or the self-paced one, and the synchronous one is where you're interacting with a human being. So having the right blend of synchronous and asynchronous helps us to reach at a higher skill, which was not at all possible for an offline institute. This enables not only the same professor to teach thousands of people instead of those hundreds, but also enables the institute to provide the great quality education at 10% of the cost. So that's the way. It's a very basic business process. The bigger scale you are working with, the cheaper the product can be made. But over here, the product being education, and that's the way. And hence I said, like, we have reverse engineered the thing certain amount of things can be very well learned via a video or via reading or things like that. Right now, if you have to learn about SWOT analysis, it's not
Mhm.
complicated, but it's critical. So you
Yes.
learn SWOT analysis in a recorded fashion or a asynchronous fashion. But when you go to a project where you have to use that learning, then a trainer will come and handhold you, guide you, and ensure that you are able to complete the project and then use those learning in a live environment. So that's the healthy balance that we have been able to create across the board.
Okay, so I have asked a lot of questions to you, and finally, we have the last question.
Hmm.
So, if someone listening is unsure
Hmm.
or on the fence, maybe even afraid,
Hmm.
what would you say to them?
Okay. So I'll say that, and I'll again go back to the mutual fund analogy, right? Do you want to have disproportionate results over the year,
Mhm.
or you're happy with the base level and having those small tiny increments year on year? If you want to grow exponentially, you have to invest in yourself. And again, investment is just not cost. It's just not money, it's time. First, realize that you can be much better and you can have a much better life if you invest yourself both in terms of money and time. And time is more critical than money. Money you will
Yeah.
earn, time will never comes back.
Mhm.
So once you have realized that, start investing in yourself, get the learning, use them. If you have learned something but if you are not using it, again it's useless. So use them at a day on day level and be bit vocal about yourself in terms of why am I doing this, what's the end objective, have those timelines associated with. And I'm not saying it will be easy, it will be difficult, but whatever is worth having is always difficult. If it was easy, everybody would have it, and then you would not have any value to it at all,
Yeah.
right? So that's the thing. No, understand what you do, want to do, invest in it, implement it, and then you will have a successful life for sure.
Well, thank you so much, Shantanu. I had a great session and really good examples. So, I think thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Pooja. It was a nice talking to you too. And I'll say happy learning. Keep investing in yourself.
Okay, I'll do. Okay,
Thank you.
bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.